Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
I can't hear anything.
Good morning.
Right.
Yes, now I can hear. I can hear.
Good, good. Thank you so much for all who have already joined. Welcome to this wonderful day, special day, our Saturday family gathering. And yeah, also I have to apologize for some technical issues that people have had to join. Much appreciation for your patience. And also thank you so much, Grainne, our speaker of today, who is already with us. And we will not delay. We will start this program, this talk, and then we will be assisting others to join us on our way. I know we don't have much time. All right, I would like, as we start, to invite Sister Mary. I see her joining to give us an opening prayer of today. Then introduce our guest speaker. Well, my name is Stephen Kezamutima. I'll be moderating also from the Office of Justice, Peace and Integrity of Creation, Franciscans, Africa. I would like also to remind you, if you have managed to join, unmute your microphone so that only the speaker will be the one presenting. In order to avoid some background noise, when time will come, we unmute you, or we allow you to unmute and share. Also, just keep the chat box live, introduce yourself, also make some comments regarding the topic of today. I know it's a nice topic, and everyone, as Franciscans, we are very interested, and we are very, very much involved in this environmental program. So welcome everyone, and I give this to Sister Mary Wangali Sebastian to give us an opening prayer. I see she's already with us. Sister, give us an opening prayer, and then you introduce to us our guest of today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sister.
Once again, welcome to our Zoom today. Again, we welcome you. We are happy to be with you. We will start with the word of prayer, and then I will invite our able guest today to give us her talk. And then we have our own interaction. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God our Father, this morning we thank you for the gift of our lives. We thank you for your protection. We thank you that you have gathered us here through this Zoom meeting to reflect on issues of Lenten campaign, the 5th week of Lenten campaign, under the theme of environment and the importance of us to take care of our common home. We ask you this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. I want to welcome you all, and in a special way, I want to welcome a very special person who is going to share with us this topic today. She is Grainne Kidakwa from KCCB. What I know about Grainne, she, in her early age in high school, Grainne was a club member of Human Rights in Loreto Matunda Convent School. And I can proudly say she is the fruits of the work the Association of Systems of Kenya did in justice and peace those years, because Grainne majored on this. Until now, she is the program officer at KCCB. Grainne has worked in different programs. She has been a program officer in different projects at KCCB, and one of them is governance program, peace building program, social justice and livelihoods. She has served at CJPC, that is at KCCB level, for about 7 years. And currently, actually, she is the program officer who is steering us on the Lenten campaign program. What I know is that Grainne is very simple, very down to earth, and I know that the language she's going to use, all of us will like it. Thank you, Grainne, for accepting, even at having a very tight schedule today, to share with us this topic on the 5th week of Lent. You are most welcome to share with the Franciscans and friends of Franciscans who are with us today. You are most welcome.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Grainne Kidakwa. Thank you, sister, so much for that beautiful introduction. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm glad to join this very important meeting. I know it will add more value to the work we do as justice and peace and people who really care for the environment. And I am honored that you chose me to be the one presenting today. So I would like to invite everybody to participate. This topic does not need us to keep quiet. I want it to be a discussion because it's something that affects each and every one of us in one way or another. So I'm happy that we are joined with a number of people from different congregations, lay people, sisters, brothers. I'm very happy to be part of this discussion. So I will just go right ahead and start. I will be sharing some slides, and if you feel like we need to discuss, then just feel free to stop me and we discuss. But as sister said, I'm going to make it as simple as possible because I want it to be a discussion because we have interacted with these things before. It is not something new. It's not the first time we are interacting with this discussion. It's just that we want to make emphasis because sometimes we are very reluctant because it's an environment and we assume it is not affecting our lives, but indeed it is. And it's high time that we really take the forefront in advocating for these issues. And that is why as Lenten campaign, we felt it's very, very important that we always discuss, almost every year, we're discussing about the environment. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. I hope everyone can see.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So as I said, my name is Grainne Kidakwa. I'm a program officer at the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops under the Justice and Peace Commission. Indeed, I do work with multiple projects, but today our focus is on Lenten campaign, and I also take lead in Lenten campaign in the Justice and Peace Commission. And I am sure, since you have already interacted with Lenten campaign for the last 4 weeks, and this is the 5th week, you are well conversant. I've seen someone from Uganda. If you're from Uganda, that is in Kiswahili. I've translated it to English down here, which we also have the translation. This year, Lenten campaign's theme is rebuilding our nation through inclusive and accountable governance. Come, let us rebuild our nation. Nehemiah 2, 17, 18. This is closely related to what we are going to discuss today. When you look at inclusive and accountable governance, we just think about our leaders, but we have a responsibility to play also as citizens, as people who are of this world. So I'll go straight to our weekly topic, environment and disaster management. In the week of this week, we have a cartoon. And I just want you to look at this cartoon. It has a positive side. It has a positive side, and it has a positive side and a negative side. So it's for us to look and see what is this? Is it speaking to us, our daily lives? And you look at the negative side. What can you see? We have a lady and a son. The son is vomiting. We have dead cows. It's dry. We have people who have been displaced. We have factories that are pouring waste into our rivers. We have land that is not producing food. We have industries polluting the air. This speaks to us today. This speaks a lot of what we're doing. We have mining, a quarry something going on here. This is us. This is our life almost every day today. This is what we are living today. I would have loved this to come at the end, but also look at this. It portrays, on the positive side, it portrays what we want to live every day. But this is not what we experience every day. We experience something different, or we are heading towards the negative side more. Yeah, and most probably we have closed our eyes to that. So the Lenten campaign booklet has a story, and I'm hoping everyone has interacted with this booklet, so that as I speak to just a few points, because I don't want to go through the whole book, if you haven't, please just be intentional to read that story, because it makes us relate to what is happening every day in our lives. And in the story, there's a community we are talking about a community that was living together in a very happy environment, fresh air, clean water, good food. And then these things happen to us where we have investors coming into our lives. We've been living well, happily, but they come and interfere. They decide we are going to set up a factory in our community. And us as a community, do we bother? Do we bother to understand why there's an investor? Or because of selfish interests, we choose to ignore that there are investors who are coming to put up a factory within our community. And then there's the aspect of what are the effects of this factory? Just because we might think that it's going to benefit us, then we choose to ignore the effects, the aftermath of having a factory within our community. And then the importance of community engagement and involvement, especially by our leaders. And I think each and every one of us here is a leader, because we see things happening within our community and we keep quiet, or we refuse to engage or get involved. So we ask ourselves, the story speaks to that. And then the importance of education and awareness, something we take for granted, that we do not educate, we do not create awareness, especially on issues of environment. And again, we also don't appreciate the nature and the environment we are living in. So we take because we are alive and we are breathing, we think our air, our oxygen is clean. So we do not appreciate, because we're eating food every day, you do not appreciate where it's coming from. And then why and how should the community be involved? The story speaks to that. And how and when should the environment issues be addressed? This is very important, because most of the time, at what point do we address environmental issues? Most probably when the damage has already been done. And the story speaks to that, yeah? So in the situation analysis, of which I'll take you through, but I've broadened it based on the book, on the Lenten campaign booklet, but we want to look at it in a broader way and also in a simple way so that you can understand and also engage. Yeah? So we look at the environment. What is our environment? What is environment? You ask yourself that question. Maybe we do not ask, But it's basically the surroundings that we're living in, the people, the animals, the plants. We all know what a good environment should look like, but we ignore that because we are alive and we are living. And the reason why we're having this discussion is because lately we have environmental degradation. Again, something we take advantage of. We have kept quiet about this. And so I will try to, I explain that when it comes to environmental degradation, this is when actions are being taken or by people to damage or harm the environment. And this is purely because with time, the process through which natural environment is compromised, hence reducing biological diversity of the environment. So you interfere with the environment in different ways, making it deplete, interfering it in a way that you do know what you're doing, and you know it's harmful to the environment. That is part of environmental degradation. So you're interfering with the quality and the quantity of the natural resources we have, which is something that is going on and we are aware of it. So what resources are affected when it comes to environmental degradation? This can be water, this can be air, this can be soil, this can be wildlife. You do not consider wildlife as part of degradation because you don't go, you leave this to Wazungu. I hope those who are not Kenyan understand. When it comes to degradation, wildlife is part of degradation. Just because you don't go to see lions, you assume it's not part of the environment. And plants and animals and human beings. So it's good for us to know what is affected when it comes to environmental degradation. And then some of the most common natural disasters being experienced in the world, and I'm not talking about just Kenya, in the world, is purely because of our management of the environment or environmental degradation. So all these things that are happening, the flooding, the mudslides, the landslides, at least in, I think, Africa, but I think some countries have been affected. We've not had what are these called? The cyclones, all these things. We have not had the ones they name, I've forgotten them. We've not been affected greatly by some of the environmental effects the West are experiencing, yeah? But it's important for us to know that it is purely because of poor management of our environment that we're experiencing natural disasters lately. And Kenya has not been left out. As late as last year, we had floods, we have experienced a drought, we've experienced mudslides, and last year was quite bad. And I think many years we've experienced these things. We've experienced abnormal weather patterns, something that we have not been experiencing for years. So we look at the main causes of environmental degradation. I have the major ones where we have air pollution, water pollution, toxic pollutants, deforestation, solid waste pollution. All this we are aware about. We know what causes air pollution. Factories, the smoke that goes to the air. Even our cars cause air pollution, those who have cars. We have water pollution. When we release waste into the water, we cause water pollution. Even through agriculture, the simplest things that we assume do not contribute to pollution do. When you're using a fertilizer that is not good for the water, for the soil, that is part of pollution. Toxic pollutants, these come mostly from our factories. Deforestation, we cut trees and we don't even think twice about it because of the benefits that bring. And I think we'll speak about the economic effects of which I have put it under other causes. And then we have solid waste pollution. This is very common, especially in our African continent, where we just eat, we take water from bottles and throw them out of our cars. We take sweet wrappers and throw them out of our windows. Even when you're walking on the streets, you throw them. Being very inconsiderate and not cautious of what is happening. I think it's the small actions that we really have to look at this point. And then other causes of environmental degradation, land and soil degradation. This is poor. I looked at poor agricultural practices that is commonly used because the world has changed and we have been introduced to different we've been introduced to different things that actually can help our plants grow. This includes pesticides, fertilizers, the chemicals that are used to produce all these things affect and degrade our soil. And then overpopulation. I know people are wondering, Sasa, what, is it wrong to be many? Yes, overpopulation does affect our the environment, because you find out that there's urbanization, there is putting up of building in all sorts of ways. So if you are overpopulated in one area, then you are affecting the environment. The economic factors, whereby we are looking at what are we doing with our industries? What are we doing with mining? Because it adds value to us in terms of money, then we forget that it's affecting the environment. Socioeconomic factors also is one of them. Technological factors. Technological factors, we're looking at, I can give an example of mining also, that there's something that is, that there's a mineral that is used for our mobile phones that we have to actually go to mine. And that is also affecting our environment. So it's good to look at these things in depth and not in a shallow way, so that we're able to broaden our thinking of how we are contributing to environmental degradation in different aspects, as I've put them down here. But if we're not limited to this, they can be more. So I just put photos for you to see what is happening. We tend to burn our garbage, and this is what we do to the environment. We pollute the air. These are industries doing this. This is most of the rivers. I live next to a river, but you cannot tell if it's a river or sewer, because it looks like this. This is an industry. This is a factory out waste into the river. This is water we are supposed to be using. This is supposed to be fresh water for us to be able to utilize. Deforestation. We are cutting down our trees. And I think as a country and even as a continent, and even not just here, even internationally, we have seen the repercussions of cutting down trees. This is dumping, something that is very, very common within our communities and also in the city, in the streets. We just see people dumping as if it should be a normal thing, and no one is taking action about that. So we look at the effects of degradation. These are things you can relate to. Death of both animals and plants due to the indirect and direct effects of pollution. We know what causes death when it comes to pollution. It can be because of disease. When we use water that is contaminated, what are the chances you're not going to get sick? We have seen documentaries even on TV, especially I think the Kenyan media has always exposed of polluting water, where people have been getting cancer and all those things. Flooding brings about displacements. You lose your home, you lose your livelihoods, where these people. And also drought. Drought is something that is affecting most of our areas because there's lack of rain, and all these have because it's affecting food production. When you don't have food production in the country or even in your home, then you are affected. When it comes to even water, when you don't have water that if you cannot access clean water, then the quality of your life is affected. If you cannot just have good air to breathe every day, you're getting sick, you're being affected, you cannot just live comfortably because of pollution. That really reduces the quality of life of a human being. And then impact on human health. This before that environmental degradation really impacts our health. Lately, people are very sick. The issue of cancer, the issue of using pesticides and fertilizers that have chemicals affects the kind of production you're getting when it comes to food. So you really have to think about, are we doing the right things when it comes to making sure that we can access clean water, we can access clean air, we can access good food that is healthy for us to consume. Loss of biodiversity, this is what brings balance in our ecosystem. And the moment there's no balance, then that means the nutrients on the ground cannot be replaced. We cannot restore that. The ecosystem cannot even be balanced in terms of combating pollution. That means it's weak, it's tired, it's really struggling to do what it's supposed to be doing normally, where it's in terms of biodiversity, it naturally replaces bad air to good air, but now it's really struggling. And then even protecting water sources and stabilization of the climate. All these are being affected because of environmental degradation. So yeah, this is a picture I got for drought. This is what is happening. Animals are dying. People cannot get food. People cannot get water, and these people are dying. This is a picture of how bad it is that we can get people who are like this because of starvation, because of drought, because of famine. I think Kenya, we've had this a lot. And also if you know right now, like Baringo and like Bogoria almost meeting, and we cannot really explain that. The people on those sides are actually, they're floods, but they don't understand why the water is not at its normal level, it's increasing. And mudslides. Mudslides, basically, you know, if the soils are not firm because of interference, then we'll encounter mudslides. Ozone layer depletion. I know we all know about the ozone layer and the ultraviolet rays that are harmful to us and our skin as people. But because we live as though we do not know these things have an effect and are harmful to us, then we ignore and we live our lives as if the atmosphere is not very important to us, and it becomes toxic. So when it's getting depleted, it is affecting us in terms of how we live, in terms of the rays that are coming down. And again, cancer has increased. We have to ask ourselves this question. Then we have the economic impact. The economic impact, let's not just look at it at like people mining and landfills and all those things, but we are looking at it also at the tourism industry. The tourism industry really benefits from from having a good environment. And I mentioned wildlife. Wildlife is very important. When we have wildlife, then we have industry, tourists coming in. Even as local tourists, we can boost that industry. But you see, we do not see, and we do not feel, and we do not think about how the economic impact we are having when it comes to environmental degradation. So there is need to look at restoration of the green cover, cleaning up of landfills, and also protection of the species that exist, because there's some species that are being extinct. And that's when I'm making emphasis that it's not just about the soil and the air, it's also about the animals and the human beings. So when we have species being extinct, then we should have a problem. We have a problem, actually. Then climate change. As I grew up, I'm not that old, but I think there are those who are older than me, maybe in our meeting. The weather patterns were very clear. We could know that we are going to plant during this time, it's going to rain during this time, and we're going to harvest during this time. Right now, it's very difficult. You can plant tomorrow, then there's no rain for the next 3 months. Then that is waste for you, and it's affecting our lives. So that is what is happening to our climate, that we are having unpredictable weather patterns. Either it is too warm or it's too cold. Some areas, it's like, yeah, in where they have like snow, it's longer, or the snow is melting. Then we really need to ask ourselves these questions. What is happening to our environment right now? What is affecting, how is what are we doing that is affecting the climate right now? So there are things that are happening. When you have acidic rain, it's very harmful to our health. So let us think about these things and what effect they're having in our lives. And then I hope I'm not going too fast. Are we okay? Are we okay?
Yes, Grainne, we are okay.
Okay, I thought I was speaking to myself at some point.
Yeah, I've muted people.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. So, and now we go to the mitigation. How can we mitigate? What measures do we have to take to mitigate all these effects? And please know, those effects are not exhaustive. There are things that we encounter every day that I've just brought about, and I am sure you are aware about them. So what measures can we take as individuals? And I will also list who are supposed to take part in this. When it comes to mitigation measures, we need to end deforestation. This is very crucial for our environment. We need to stop cutting down trees because we know what value trees add in our lives. This oxygen we breathe, I think we take it for granted, but the trees help us get this oxygen. Trees are natural habitats to animals. So it is important for us to be very intentional when it comes to afforestation campaigns. We really need to be very intentional. And then there's the aspect of reuse and reduce. So we need to look at how we can reduce waste production by using items and food more efficiently. It is our responsibility as an individual. How do we reuse and how do we reduce waste generation? And then plastics. Plastic is a menace that is there, I think, in most countries, and especially in Kenya. The government has really tried to ensure that they're doing away with plastic bags. But I think recently, when we were watching news, they said they're coming back into into the country. And what we're saying is, because we know how plastic affects our environment, they're not biodegradables. So once you throw plastic on the ground, it takes years for it to disintegrate. So the thing is, we need to focus on being able to have things that reusable items. So let's do away with plastic wrappers, we do away with plastic bags, plastic cups, plastic containers, plastic cutlery, and look at what are the reusable things that we can use to ensure that we are avoiding plastics in our environment. And then we have education, something that is very, very important for us. And here I'm making emphasis on education for the young. We have to start with the children. For us to be able to have a difference in the future, we have to start with the children. It will have adverse environmental consequences in their daily behavior. You need to teach your child you cannot throw litter down. You need to teach your child you cannot cut trees. You need to teach your child you cannot when you finish using, like, you cannot litter everywhere. So it's very important that this education starts early for the young people, and also it makes them have a friendlier approach to the environment as they grow up. And then it's an assumption that it's only the young people who need this education, but also this applies to the young, because who is going to lead by example? The adults need to lead by example. And most of the time, when people are throwing things, it's adults. It's not children who are throwing taka in the streets. It's older people. It's their parents. It's their sisters. It's their brothers. So what example are adults setting for the young people? And so for me, education is very, very key if we want to make a difference when it comes to environmental change. Another thing I will speak to is the government regulations. If you look at our situation analysis, it gives you what articles in the Constitution that apply to the environment. Article 96(2) of the Constitution speaks to environmental protection, and also in terms of your right of having a healthy environment. So what the government should intervene in terms of addressing the problems that lead to significant eco-degradation. This can be done by supporting environmental friendly behavior. So I don't really think our government as Kenya has taken lead in this very proactively. And I think it's important for us as different institutions to really see how we can partner with the government to support them, and also to journey with them so that they can actually see the essence and the importance of making a difference when it comes to the environment. And then again, also, we've seen people going to the extreme of saying that the government should even tax these industries and the mining industries, the factories higher, so that they can look for environmental friendly behaviors when it comes to the work they are doing, which can be an option. And the government should be able to regulate that so that they're ensuring whatever factories are put up are actually have environmental friendly measures within their companies and their factories. And then punishment for illegal dumping. This is something that I think should and actually happen. It might sound bad, but it is necessary, in the sense that when you're found dumping illegally, then you're caught. There are consequences for that behavior, in the sense that for as long as the penalty is not substantial, then no one bothers about, no one is very scared, or no one is cautious about how they're throwing away things. So that's why you can see people just throwing things in the streets, and no one will hold you accountable. So it's very, very important when it comes to the government taking action. We have to have legal action being taken to people who are actually carrying out dumping within our communities. And then there's the issue of conserve water. This, we take it lightly. At home, what do you do when it comes to water? When you're brushing your teeth, water is running. When you're showering and you're putting soap on yourself, the shower, the water is running. How can we conserve water? How can we make sure that our waters we are using less water? How can we make sure that even our waters are clean? Do we take part in cleaning our beaches, our water masses? This, especially in Kenya, our beaches are not clean, our lakes are not clean, our rivers are not clean. How are we going to make sure our water is conserved? And then we look at joining awareness groups. This is very important. Having groups that speak to environmental issues in one voice will really, really add value to the work that we intend to do as people who care for the environment. And then simple things as do not litter. In a school, in an organization, in a company, it's a small way of contributing to conserving the environment. And then conserving energy, like when you're in the house and lights are just on everywhere, you're misusing whatever electronics you have because you assume that this power is just coming from everywhere. Not everyone is using solar power or wind power. So it's very important also for us to see how we can conserve energy. Yeah, so I talked about young people. This is important. I picked this one from somewhere, so I don't have permission for these children, I know. But yes, look, we need to encourage this. We need to teach our children. You see, this bin is a recycled bin. We need to teach them. How can we do this? This is our Lenten campaign. Actually, when we went to launch Lenten campaign in Malindi, we had a tree planting session at Msambaha Shrine, and these are our people. And we want even our religious leaders to take lead in ensuring the environment is conserved. So we actually planted over 100 trees in Malindi as a way of our contribution to safeguarding the environment. So as we speak to environmental degradation, if you look at topic, it speaks to disaster management. And for as long as there's environmental degradation, there's disaster. Usually there's disaster. All these floods, all these droughts, all these mudslides, whatever is happening is a result of environmental degradation. And we felt it's important for us to also know how can we manage when it comes to that. How do we start managing disasters? So when we talk about disaster management, we are looking at how we can organize and put measures in place to prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters. So the word prepare is very important, because prepare does not just mean that, okay, now when a flood happens, what are we going to do? Prepare means you are even preparing, just making sure that it even doesn't happen. So let us not think as preparing is, okay, so we are waiting for a flood. If it happens, then what are we going to do? Let us look at preparing also in the sense that we actually want to make sure it does not happen. Being very intentional that just in case it happens, yes, we know what we do. But also let us try and make sure it does not happen. We also want to respond, because when disasters happen, lives are affected. And also we want to make sure these lives that are affected recover from the disaster that happens. So here we are focusing on creating and implementing preparedness to decrease the impact of disasters. That is the purpose of disaster management, that we want to really to reduce the impact of disaster. And that is why I said preparation is very important. And again, preparation is not about, preparation is not about when it will happen. It's also before. Let us not make sure it does not happen. So failure to create plan leads to damage, loss of life and assets and revenue. This is the result of failure to plan for disaster management. So with increased environmental degradation, natural disasters have become frequent, growing more severe and affecting more people. And this is a reality that because of environmental degradation, we have had more natural disasters. And it's not only in our country, in many countries, and they are correlated. All these things, whatever is happening in China can affect Kenya when it comes to environment. So it's very important, and it is growing, and it's becoming worse, that the effects are even becoming worse, and many lives are being affected. So the purpose of this is to develop tools, processes, and even look at best practices of how to manage natural disasters and more effectively, which are becoming very increasingly urgent, that we really need to start thinking about it now, thinking about how we can actually manage natural disasters. And we've talked about what measures can we take when it comes to natural disasters. So disaster management seeks to do what? To reduce the risk faced by communities affected. We intend to save lives and reduce suffering, still going back to conserving our environment, and then protect and restore livelihoods. This is important. Once it's happened, then it has happened, then what are we going to do about it? Sorry. So I would like to escape because I had some notes here I need to refer to. I don't know if you can you see, Steve?
Yes.
You can see. Sorry, I need to make some reference to some notes I had here. So when it comes to areas of focus in disaster management, we are looking at early warning signs. We're looking at out for warning signs and signals, indicators of both natural and man-made disasters. So as I said, we need to broaden our minds on the possibilities. Yes, you can actually say that we might have floods, but we need to start thinking of what can we do to end this, but also have an idea of what looking at what signals do we have in place that are telling us that there's a disaster coming. That is early warning. Then disaster risk reduction. For me, this is, you need to engage the communities and make them aware of the risks they face. And when I talked about education, my intention was also to say that we need to educate the communities. It's not that the children, I know I said the children need to be targeted, but we also need to see how are we engaging the communities so that they can actually be aware of what is happening. And this reduces the risk because they are able to prepare to respond, and also it increases their resilience in whatever they are doing in terms of what measures are they also putting in place to ensure they reduce the chances of disasters happening. And even if they happen, then they are ready. They're well prepared to handle those issues, those areas. And then preparedness, helping communities and families prepare for disasters. Our own preparedness means we are ready to help communities when a disaster strikes. So you see, like when you as an individual, if you're ready, then and especially institutions, there's need for you to create awareness within your community, so that when an individual is prepared, it actually means that the whole community is prepared, the whole community is engaged and aware of how they can be able to address a certain disaster when it happens within their community. When it comes to response, one thing when it comes to response, and that is very important, is collaboration. When a disaster strikes, you see the government comes on board, different international organizations come on board, communities come on board, individuals come on board, because this maximizes the efficiency of the approach you're taking. It maximizes the response. It maximizes the effect that you're going to have when it comes to responding to a certain disaster. And also it reduces it ensures that there's no gap that is left out there. So the response is very important, especially when you take a collaborative approach, so that you can maximize on the efficiency. And then recovery, it encompasses so many things, because once a disaster has happened, it has happened. So what are we looking at? When you're looking at disaster management, and you also have to focus on how will people recover. So we are looking at, when there's a disaster, there's need of water, there's need of good sanitation. You look at people's health, you look at people's nutrition in terms of the food they're eating. If it's drought, then you have to figure out What meals are we bringing on board? Children are very important when it comes to disaster. I'm not saying other people are not, but they are one of the most vulnerable people that are affected. And again, we talk about education. It's good always to bring education on board, that you're creating awareness, that you're capacity building people on how they can recover from these things. So issues of shelter is very important. Issues of advocacy when it comes to humanitarian advocacy is very important. And then the transition. The transition here is about, so after a disaster has happened, you've lost your children, you've lost your wife, or you've lost your husband, you've lost your livelihood. You had a shamba, you no longer have a shamba to farm. You no longer have maybe children, you no longer have your breadwinner. So what transition, being able to help communities or families or individuals to be able to transit to the next level, whereby now it's like they're starting again. They'll be able, so that they can able to reestablish themselves or even have livelihood so that they can continue living. So it's very important to have this in mind when we are looking at areas of disaster management. These points are very important. We thought that it is important because it happens and sometimes we are not even aware of what we should do. We say, okay, fine, there was a flood. It was because of we've not been taking care of environment, but it's already here with us. So there are very many things that we really need to start focusing on because we already are, our environment is already affected, and we are expecting disasters based on the fact that the environment has already been interfered with. As we work towards correcting that, then we actually also have to have in mind what can we put in place so that we ensure that whatever is, that once it has happened, then people are safe and they can recover from these disasters. I continue now. My conclusion, I'm now concluding. I know that the environmental degradation is one of the most urgent environmental issues that needs to be addressed right now. So that is something we all need to have in mind, that we really need to start addressing it now, not tomorrow, this minute, this hour. What actions are we taking as individuals before we start saying as institutions? What actions are we taking to address this issue, because it's urgent? The other thing is, both environmental conservation and disaster management require a multifaceted approach that leverages the skills, resources, and commitments of corporations. When you talk about companies, they really need to come on board. When you talk about factories, they have to come on board. We talk about government agencies. We have different government agencies that are responsible for the environment. Are they taking part? They have a responsibility. As I said, our constitution has provisions of what is required. It has different articles. If you look at Article 70, it talks about a healthy and a clean environment. Are we able to hold them responsible? Are they taking their responsibility? We have departments like NEMA who are supposed to be taking care of the environment. Are they doing that? And then we have intergovernmental organizations. They also have to come on board. Non-governmental organizations, our communities. I think other than these organizations that we are looking at, there's the communities and individuals. Me and you, what are we doing? Personally, I cannot throw, I avoid throwing anything down. I avoid littering. That is something I have been very intentional about. So I think we also have to make individual commitments to this, and also teach the communities around us that the environment is ours and we have a responsibility to take care of it. And so I go back to this cartoon that I would have asked question about, but because of time, I will not really ask. In this cartoon, we're looking at what we want. We want community engagement. We want us to discuss as a community on what we want for our environment. We want clean waters. We want rivers flowing. These days, rivers are even dry. Why don't we have rivers anymore? We want healthy production of food. Like we want there's a practice called agroecology practice, where you purely use natural resources like for manure, for pesticides, you literally use that and you get very good product. As Sister mentioned, I have worked on issues to do with livelihoods, and agroecology is one of them. And the products are very good without using any chemical fertilizers, any chemical pesticides. You're literally using natural products to ensure that you're getting your produce is good and healthy. So I think this is what we want to see in our near future. We need to start engaging. We need to start educating our children about it. It is very important. And then I still want to bring this on board in terms of the cover of and the theme of our Lenten campaign. It is our responsibility. We have to be accountable. We have to take the leadership role when it comes to issues of environment. This poster speaks a lot to what is required. It speaks a lot to working together to rebuild our nation, even environment. It speaks a lot to what nature should look like. The intention was not for environment. It speaks to everything in the booklet, but look at it very closely and see that it's speaking to each and everything with regard to environment, working together to rebuild our environment, having clean, good produce, engaging everyone in this discussion. We have wildlife there, we have use of clean energy, we have green trees, we have our mountains. It just speaks to our, us conserving the environment. So I think that is what I really, really wanted to bring out today. And I am very sorry I am rushing because I need to be somewhere at 11. But I think I hope you have gotten something from my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Grainne, for this beautiful presentation, especially the nice conclusion that there is no one to be left behind. We need all come together, all stakeholders. Yeah, the work of managing disaster starts from prevention, not to wait until the problems are there. So thank you so much for this. I know that you're in a hurry, but I've put in chat box that if somebody has a quick question, you could respond at least to one. Let me allow one person only at least to ask a question, then we allow you to leave, then others can continue discussion, no problem, for some few minutes. So now I've unmuted people. If you are having burning question, just unmute yourself. Juliet, unmute, come in. Unmute yourself, you're allowed to speak. Others can keep in chat box, appreciates the great work that Grainne has done already. Write your appreciation chat box, then somebody can unmute. So, karibu Julie. Juliet Namira, you've raised your hand.
Steve, as they want, there's something I didn't mention.
Great.
And it's very important for the Catholic Church, Laudato Si. I was meant to think it's because I have a lot, I actually had something on it, but I just want to mention that we really need to go back to that document, the encyclical. Let us internalize it and listen to the Pope. He has a very good message for us on caring of our home. He even brings it closer to us by looking at the Bible, the creation, why God put us here as human beings to take care of his creation. He's asking us questions of what is happening to our common home. Very important questions for us. So I would really urge, I'm so sorry that I'm in a hurry, but I would really want us to go back to that document, read it, and internalize it. Another thing, just lastly, is I would really, Steve, when I leave, just let people say what they're going to do. They're intentional. In our Lenten campaign, I had opened the reflections. It's very important. What are we going to do in terms of addressing the issue of environment as individuals, as institutions? Are we going to plant trees? Are we going to open clubs for schools? What are we? People should come out with clear intention from this meeting that as an institution, we are going to plant 100 trees. That is your contribution. We are going to clean the river. That is your contribution. Let us come out of here with one, at least one. Even if you're going to plant one tree, let us do that. I will come if you invite me. I'll be very happy to come. So yes.
Thank you so much, Grainne, for bringing Laudato Si on board.
Yes.
I know there are many Laudato Si animators here with us. Guest also Bwana Kasisi, the chairperson of GCCM Kenya chapter, is also with us. And somewhere you've mentioned also that education is a key. We need to keep learning. The science is very important also to be brought on board. So there is a course that's GCCM, the Global Catholic Climate Movement, that is giving online course to form animators of Laudato Si, which is starting on 21st of April. I'm going to share a link here so that also people who have not yet registered can register. You get a certificate, but you get trained. Also, you learn more deeply. You meet many experts on this from the high level of Catholic Church to see how we can really embrace and implement this Laudato Si. Yeah, it's very important. So I appreciate that also the Lenten campaign is in line with Laudato Si, what the Pope called us to do. So now I can see Juliet maybe is able to speak. If not, Sister Mary also will say something. I've unmuted everybody. Make sure from your end now you unmute. Then you can say something. Otherwise, Sister Mary can say something to appreciate the work of Grainne.
Wow.
Hello,
Thank you
Steve.
so much, Grainne, for such a presentation. We, as Franciscans, we decided to take the 5 weeks reflection on Lenten campaign deliberately because it is our campaign, and being that we are called to rebuild our nation, we need to rebuild it. When I see you, I feel very proud, Grainne. This is a sign when you start something with the young people, then you see them grow. So keep it up. From the high school on a human rights club, now you are a program officer, and I will see you as a director somewhere.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And this is to tell us that sometimes you begin something and sometimes it's not taken, but slowly it will take roots. When we began human rights program, we didn't know that it will take root. Entering to Loreto Matunda was not easy because sisters thought we are going to make the students to strike. But now you can see the fruits. Thank you so much. I know that you are busy. You are going to a church function, but we will continue discussing this in our forum so that we see what can we do. But it's also good to know as a CJPC program officer that as JPIC Franciscans Africa is where we host the Laudato Si Generation Africa. We have had so many other activities on the Laudato Si, as you have heard from Steve. And we also have so many other activities, like you are welcome to join the initiative of planting a tree and cutting a cake on a birthday. Oh. When you have your own birthday, you can tell us. Mine was the other day, but it's not yet well celebrated, so I might invite you. So thank you so much. I hand over the mantle to Steve, but we are so grateful and may God bless you.
I really appreciate. Thank you so much. I beg to leave. I appreciate everyone who is on board. My apologies for being in a hurry, but I wait. I look forward to hearing what came out of the discussions once I leave. So thank you, and God bless all of you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. God bless you, Grainne. Right. As even though Grainne has left, you know, the matter of environment, the climate action, you've gotten the content already and you had information even before. Now it's, we are having some 10 minutes for discussion. Just say something. What can you, like, she has dropped a question before she leave, like, what can somebody do? What are you intending to do, especially during this time of Lenten campaign? Lenten, you see, it's a one of program, the Lenten campaign. So now, during this period of Lent, so maybe this can also be something that we can share. Also, yeah, what comments can you make also? How is the situation, environmental situation where you are? Thank you. Sister Felicia has raised a hand. Unmute yourself and speak. I'm hoping that Juliet also will manage after. Welcome, sister.
Hi, I'm Sister Felicia. I'm working in WOW, South Sudan, and I'm a Franciscan missionary sister for Africa. And I did the Laudato Si animators course, and I was planning to get a lot of the youth to do it this time, but I didn't know when it was. So thank you for telling me the 21st it's starting. Please, could you put up the context for signing up? I would be very grateful for that, because I will send it around to our congregational sisters as well as the youth here in WOW, and see if I can get them to do it as my Lenten action. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This would be great. This would be great. If you've gone through that training, you can really tell people that was very interesting. And once we have many Laudato Si animators, you have people who are equipped, who have knowledge, who have also connection, because you saw that through the training, you meet many people around the world who are taking action. So I'm going to share right now the link in the chat box. If Kasisi is with us also, we say something, because he's in charge at the GCTM Kenya chapter. Thank you. Anybody else have something to share? Mm-hmm. Just unmute your microphone.
Sionekana.
Sorry, just one other point. I wanted to ask if this PowerPoint that Grainne had could be sent to us all. It would be very great if we could get it through her, you know, those of us who get the contacts through Herman Borg. Thank you.
All right. We are going to share it. She will send it to us, then we share through that email, the same email you received when you received the invitation. I'm gonna share this, but if you don't mind also, yes.
I wanted to share something.
Yes.
That sometimes within the city,
Right.
like where we have our community here in Zambia, it's a city, and we have some slums around us here. So we are hoping to start doing something as a Franciscan family within our parish. Maybe by the end of this year, we'll have a little program going, we'll see. But sometimes it's very challenging, because you get the different leaders in government. They think you are kind of this political thing, that you are showing they are doing nothing, so they kind of go against what you want to do. It's not very easy, but we will try.
Yes. So thank you so much. It's good that you know you are representing church, you are a religious person, and what you need is to partner with the local leaders. That's right. At local level, where take that action, make sure leaders, that's the governments, wherever in the world, they know the contribution of Catholic Church in everything, in education. They've never refused Catholic Church to put up schools and the hospitals and whatever. So yeah, just you go in a contribution to what the government is doing. Sometimes you need to be diplomatic also. Or if you think you see these people are not going to cooperate, you show like you appreciate, tell them you are doing a great job. We like that, and also do something to adapt to what you are doing. In that way, they understand that you are appreciating what they are doing, and also you are contributing to their work. You can see also Mr. Kasisi with us, Daniel. You've raised the hand.
This wonderful platform, and maybe just to pick from the Laudato Si is the way to go, and before we have an impact of being accepted, it is good to build the movement that, like now the approach that I have taken with the committee and Laudato Si and Metas in Kenya, where to seek and get the buy-in of the Episcopal Conference, especially the CJPC department, that once they understand, you introduce yourself to the Episcopal Conference, then seek recognition so that you are recognized as a movement that is pushing the agenda of the Pope, not going against and being rivals. Then see how you can mainstream the activities and coordinate the activities of your Laudato Si within the country. So I think I've liked the approach that I've taken, and our Episcopal Conference, especially the GCJPC, they have taken up the initiative and the invitation. And on 30th this month, we are going to train all the CJPC coordinators in the dioceses, all the Catholic women groups representatives, all the CMA representatives. If you go like that, you'll use less energy and you'll spread the word of Laudato Si easily. Then after having a battalion, like an army, after them knowing what Laudato Si is, you can then come together to decide on maybe different activities that you can be doing in different places as per the need of that area or as per the environmental concern in that area. For instance, in Kenya, go to coastal region, their impact could be the mangrove, growing of the mangrove forest, and when you go to a place like maybe in Western Kenya, it could not necessarily be the same thing. So it is important that after having the people movement, serious movement, we have the common interest groups. Then I think I could talk so much, but maybe that is the only bit I can share. Let's struggle to build, to let almost all the Catholics, before we talk to non-Catholics, let's have all the Catholics knowing what Laudato Si is, then it will be easier for it to reach the communities and the nation at large. So thank you, Steve.
Thank you so much, Bwanagasisi. Daniel is the chairperson of Global Catholic Climate Movement Kenyan chapter. Thank you for sharing that beautiful initiative. So Sister Angela, I've learned also from there. I think, yeah, that is the way to go. Somebody else also, we still have like 5 minutes. If you have something to share, just unmute your microphone in the share. And much appreciation to those ones who are already sharing in chat box.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sister.
Yeah, so
we thank Grainne for the presentation she made. That was a great sharing. And just from I have written on the chat box that we have planned for a CCFMC course training. This is just information from the 25th of next month to 1st May this year. So in case there's one who would like to join for the training, I have written my number there, 0712261095. So kindly let us know so that we slot you in before we have everybody, and then you're out of the group. And in case there's somebody else you have in mind who would like to join the training for more knowledge about St. Francis, you're most welcome. Asanteni. No, it will not be on Zoom. So Sister Angela, it will not be on Zoom. It will be at the Potiungula. So it's good. You're welcome. Once you communicate about your wish to join, I'll let you know of the rest of the things that you need to know. It's at the Potiungula.
Thank you, Sister, for this information. I know many Franciscans and friends of Franciscans who've been enjoying our physical retreats, the course, the reflections, or some workshops. They've been asking for at least a physical platform. So this, I think, will be the first one since last year with the issues of COVID-19. I'm sure everything is put in place in order to respect the COVID-19 protocols, so that if people meet physically, there will be no harm, no affection to people. So
sure, I
people
will send an email also. Sorry, I will send a letter to the superiors. But I thought it was also good that I share it on this forum so that people may have that in advance so that they can start planning. So that is already slotted about the protocol. That's why I'm saying it's good to let us know early so that we don't close you out of the group, because we have a limited number. So karibuni sana.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Somebody else with the Techno Spark has raised the hand. Would you like to share something? We have 2 minutes and then we close the session. If you want to. Good, thank you. Let's appreciate once again Grainne Kidakwa for her beautiful presentation, and everyone who have come on board today for your contribution also in chat box. This was wonderful, and the live talk. They know as Franciscan, environmental matters is our daily, it is our daily food. It is our charisma. It is our mandate. So we keep it up. Still, I can see somebody's trying to, through TechnoSparks, G. He or she has raised the hand. We want to say something. I don't know. Okay. If not, I will invite Sister Mary to close this session with the short final remark, and then we give us closing prayer. Remember, we've put in the chat box the link is also live on YouTube. You can pick that link, share it with others. You can also watch it later. I know people like us to enjoy learning after this. As also we promise that we share the PowerPoint once Grainne shared them through the emails that we used to invite. The final remarks, and then we close this session.
Thank you so much for being here. I know that this session today started a little bit earlier because of the request from the facilitator. So on Saturday, we still have the Zoom, and it will start at our normal time. That is 10 to 11. Our facilitator is Father Cosmas Kagwe, OFM. So my remark is to wish you all a good preparation for Lent. Let us take a deliberate move to care for our common home as Franciscans. We are called to take care of the creatures and everything that is around us. Let us take care of our environment and our common home so that everyone will be able to enjoy. Remember, St. Francis addresses every creature as brother or sister. So when you are throwing away a waste or dumping waste, you are actually not treating your nature well.
And you contribute to what is happening to the droughts and climate change. And therefore, let us rebuild our country. Let us assist each other. I know that we are those of us who use greenhouses. Let us know what we are using so that we are not also impacting the climate change by our urge to wanting more food through green.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Mary, for this. I've promised that I'm going to send a link. I will send everything through the way you received the email for this invitation. You'll get also that link for the. So much appreciation. You can wave your hand, say bye-bye to everyone.